Okay, this is Solid Foundation International Ministries, and this is a live lesson that's being recorded. So class, get your paper, your pens, and your Bibles and your concordance. Whatever you need to get out. Get it out, take notes. Let's begin. Solid Foundation International Ministries. Brother Brandon Judah Matt Duffy. Okay, shalom, brothers and sisters. Shalom. And once again, this is Brother Brandon Judah Matt Duffy. Today would be concerning the tares of the field, which we will be starting from St. Matthew 13th chapter, beginning with the 24th verse. Once again, the topic is concerning the tares of the field. So let's get into it. Before we get into it, I want to give my respect to the elders that's teaching this truth. Double honors to the elders that's teaching this truth. And great honors to the brothers that's teaching this truth in sincerity. The brothers that's teaching this truth to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And just manifesting the truth throughout the world in the four corners of the earth. Okay, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. And thank you for this wonderful day. Thank you for being the God of Israel. Alright, so let's get into it. Okay, St. Matthew 13 chapter verse 24. It says, "Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field." Now hold your horses, I will be breaking this down. Now, remember, the topic is the tares of the field. Okay, this is the topic. The tares of the field. Beginning with the 13th chapter in St. Matthew. Beginning with the 24th verse. We are going to do a breakdown on the tares of the field. So pay close attention. Listen to the video. Focus. Zone in. Okay? Because this is going to edify you concerning the tares of the field. Okay? Verse 25, it says, "But while a man slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way." Okay? It says, "But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also." Verse 27, "So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then had tares? He said unto them, An enemy has done this. The servant said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, No. Lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together into the harvest. And in the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them. But gather the wheat into my barn." Okay, we're going to start right there. We're going to break this down. Concerning the tares, beginning with St. Okay, so we're going back up. And we just going to do a quick review over what was said concerning the tares of the field. Backing up, beginning with St. Matthew chapter 13, verse 24. Now we about to go into it and analyze it. So take notes on this, okay? Get your pads, get your pencils, your pens, and take notes. Okay. Matthew 13, 24 verse. Now let's back up. Okay. Because it says, "Another parable put he forth unto them." This is Yahweh Shai telling the disciples a parable, okay? And he was saying that the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed. Okay, that man that sowed good seed is Yahweh Shai. Okay, so that man that sowed good seed in the field is Yahweh Shai, okay, the black Messiah. Yahweh Shai, the black Messiah. Let's see, can we zoom in here? You can see it. We have a picture. This is not an actual picture of
the black Messiah, but this would do. This is the man that sowed seed among the field, the son of the Most High Yahweh, I.U.I.C. All right. So let's continue on with the lesson.
Okay, because it says the kingdom of heaven is like to a man. See, a man which sowed good seed. That's Yahweh. Okay, that is Christ, the Son of the Most High, the Son of Man. Okay, that was him that sowed good seed in the field. All right. And the field would be concerning the world. Okay.
Okay, so the field is the world. All right. Keep that in mind. The field is the world. Okay. Let's go back.
The field would be concerning the world. All right. It says, but why man slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. Okay. Now, the enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat. Okay, that enemy right here is the so-called white man.
Okay. So that enemy is the so-called white man that sowed tares among the wheat. The Edomites, okay? The Edomites, the word Edom in Hebrew, it means red, okay? So the Edomites, the descendants of Esau, okay? The so-called Caucasian people, or you may say European people today. That is exactly who came along and sowed tares among the wheat, the so-called white man. All right. So let's continue on with the lesson. Take notes.
It says, but while man slept, his enemy came. That enemy is the so-called white man, the children of Edom, the Edomites, the Europeans, so-called Caucasian man today. Okay, he's the enemy that came and sowed tares among the wheat. How did he sow tares among the wheat? Okay, he sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. Now, we know that this man that slept, while he slept, his enemy came. This is the so-called white man that sowed tares among the wheat. Who is the wheat concerning this context? The wheat, however, is the children of the kingdom. Okay, that wheat is the children of the kingdom, which are the Israelites. Okay, Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Indians.
Okay, so we know concerning the wheat, is basically the 12 tribes of Israel. The wheat, the children of Israel. Let's see, can we get a better picture here? All right. Concerning the wheat. All right. Let's see, can we get a better picture? Just a second. Let's look at this right here. Right here. Okay. That wheat is concerning the 12 tribes of Israel, which are the whole house of Israel. That's the wheat. Okay. That the enemy, which is the so-called white man, came along and sowed tares among. That's the wheat. Primarily Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Indians, which are the children of the Most High, the children of Israel, the chosen people. Okay. So let's go back to the video. That would be your wheat. Okay.
All right. They are the children of Israel, and they are considered the wheat here. But while man slept, his enemy came. That enemy is the so-called white man. He came and sowed tares among the wheat. How did he do this?
Okay, so we know that the enemy came right here, as you can see. The enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way. So the question is, how did he do this? Okay, we're doing a quick review, so let's back up. All right, beginning with Matt 13:24. Let's look at that. The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man That man, we went over that man. Who is that man? I.U.I.C, the black Messiah. Okay, which sowed good seed in his field. Okay, but while man slept, his enemy came. Who is the enemy? The so-called white man. We just doing a review so you can have a clear understanding. We don't want you to lose focus. So his enemy that came along is the so-called white man, the Edomites, the children, the descendants of Esau. Okay, they came along and sowed tares among the wheat. Now, the wheat, however, what we went over just a few minutes ago, are the 12 tribes of Israel. The wheat are the Israelites, which is predominantly Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Indians. That's the wheat. Okay, so let's not lose focus here. Okay, let's focus and continue on with the lesson. All right.
The enemy came along and sowed tares among the wheat by if you were let's go to we're gonna show you this concerning the precept. Let's go to Deuteronomy 28 and 30. And we'll get right back into.
Okay, now we're going to Deuteronomy 28 and 30. So get your Bibles out, and if you would turn with me to Deuteronomy 28 and 30. Okay, we already know Deuteronomy 28 talks about the curses, okay, that came upon the children of Israel. Okay, from Deuteronomy 28, verse 16 on down, stopping on 68, those are the curses that came upon Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Indians for the disobedience of Yahweh, okay? But if you would look at only verse 30 out of chapter 28 of Deuteronomy, this is also one of the curses that the Most High spoke through Moses, saying that would come upon the children of Israel if they disobeyed his commandments, okay? So, let's continue on.
St. Matthew 13.
So, we are still in Deuteronomy 28:30, okay? And we're going to let...
Okay, now, because let's not forget, concerning St. Matthew chapter 13, we was on verse 25 concerning St. Matthew 13. It says, but while the man slept, it said his enemy came along, which is the so-called white man, and sowed tares among the wheat.
This is the precept right here.
The children of Israel. So the enemy is the so-called white man that came along and sowed tares among the wheat. How did he do this? I'm taking you to Deuteronomy 28:30 to show you this.
This is the precept.
Deuteronomy 28:30, it says, thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. This is one of the curses out of Deuteronomy chapter 28 concerning the children of Israel. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Let's look at this top context right here out of Deuteronomy 28:30. It says, thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. This is how the enemy sowed tares among the wheat. Because basically the Spanish and the Italian explorers raped the wives of the so-called blacks and Native Americans. They raped the women, and I'm talking about the Spaniards and the Italians.
Christopher Columbus and his pirates began the process of genocide. They took the leaders hostage, extorted the population for gold, and then proceeded to execute the leadership. They then went around massacring, raping, and stealing everything they could of value.
Let's play that back.
They then went around massacring, raping, and stealing everything they could of value.
Do you hear that?
They then went around massacring,
raping,
and stealing everything they could of value. This began the Columbus formula of genocide. Take the leader hostage, extort the population, kill the leader, and then proceed to massacre unarmed people, all for the purposes of stealing the land and the wealth.
So that's the main thing that I really wanted you to focus on about Christopher Columbus, so-called discovered America in the year of 1492. Really, when who really discovered America in 1492 was an Italian navigator by the name of Amerigo Vespucci, okay? So the video that you just seen before you about Christopher Columbus and the Spaniards and the Italians and so forth coming to the New World just classified that they raped the indigenous people, okay? And this goes back to Deuteronomy 28:30 when it says, "Thou shalt betroth the wife." He's talking to basically the northern kingdom of Israel, which are really basically the Indian tribes. Concerning Deuteronomy 28:30, he said that, but he also talking to the southern kingdom as well, because this was done to both tribes by the so-called white man. "Thou shalt betroth the wife, and another man shall lie with her." What that means, you won't be able to enjoy the wife that you have because another man will lie with her. Another man will take the wives of the native Indians and take the wives of the so-called blacks, and he will rape them, the Europeans, the Edomites, the so-called white man. Okay, and we just gave you the precept concerning Deuteronomy 28:30 concerning the tares among the field in Matthew chapter 13. Okay, so let's continue on with the video. All right.
Okay, they rape the wives of the so-called blacks and Native Americans. Okay, this is how concerning St. Matthew 13:25 it says. Let's go back. I just wanted to show you that precept. Okay. This is why it says, "But why man slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat and went his way." That's the white man that put his seed, that raped Negroes, the blacks, and the Native Americans.
All right. So that's the white man that raped the Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. That's what it means when it says, "But while man slept, his enemy," being the so-called white man, "came and sowed tares." Sowing tares is sowing his seed, basically planting his seed in the so-called blacks and native women. All right. The so-called Edomites that raped the Israelite women and raped the woman. Okay, basically. "But while man slept, his enemy came." The white man came and sowed tares among the wheat. Basically, sowed his seed among the wheat, which are the children of Israel. We went over that wheat being the 12 tribes of Israel, which is the house of Israel. And these tares, we will go over there also. The tares basically are the tares of the seed of the wicked ones, okay? The children of the wicked, which is the so-called Edomites. All right, so while man slept, his enemy came and he sowed tares among the wheat. That means he planted his seed among the Israelites, which are Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Indians, and he went his way. So let's continue on.
That raped, the so-called white man that raped the Negroes, blacks, and which is the blacks and Native Americans. That's how he sowed the tares among the wheat.
It all began with the Europeans taking native women and children,
Listen up.
as servants, and to satisfy their own base appetites.
They raped the woman, okay? Europeans rape the native woman and the so-called black woman, which are the Israelites. That's how they sold. That's how basically, let's stop the video. That's how they sold the tares among the wheat, okay? This is exactly how they sold the tares among the wheat. Right here. They sold tares among the wheat. The video that you just seen before you, okay? So let's continue on.
St. Matthew 13:25 would be Deuteronomy 28:30. This is how he sowed tares among the wheat.
Okay, now to St. Matthew 13:25, we gave you that precept concerning Deuteronomy 28:30. How basically right here, "Thou shalt betroth the wife, and another man shall lie with her." Okay, and those other men that lie down with the native women and the so-called black women were the Edomites, the so-called white man, with were the the Italians and the Spaniards. Okay, so I just wanted to give you that because concerning St. Matthew 13:25, the precept to 13 and 25 out of St. Matthew is actually Deuteronomy 28:30. Okay, so let's go back and let's continue on with the video.
He raped the so-called blacks and native, and I'm talking about the Spaniards and the Italians, which are Edomites, which are Europeans, okay, which are the children of Esau. When they raped the blacks and native women, when they implanted their seed within them, they sowed tares among the children of Israel, which is the wheat. Okay, but let's go down to Matt 13 and 26. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, see, that's saying, basically saying, when the Israelite women gave birth to their children, then appeared the tares also. Their children was mixed breeds, okay? And I'm talking about the so-called blacks and Native Americans, when they bear children, basically when the Spaniards and the Italians raped the natives, they created Latinos, okay? The Spaniards, when the Spaniards, the conquistadors, when they raped the Native Indians, they created Latinos, they created Mexicans, okay? Because that's all Latinos are. The Mexicans, the Puerto Ricans, the Guatemalans, El Salvador, those Latin tribes are mixed with Spaniard blood, okay? They have Spaniard blood within them. And how did they get that Spaniard blood within them? That Spaniard blood came from the so-called white man of Spain, the Spaniards that raped the Native Indians, okay? When he implanted his seed within the native women.
It all began with the Europeans taking native women and children, both as servants and to satisfy their own base appetites.
So it says to satisfy their own base appetites. And it's talking about rape, okay, concerning Deuteronomy 28:30, okay, and also concerning St. Matthew 13:25. It's talking about rape, okay, when it's talking about satisfying their own appetite. So let's go back to the vid.
He raped the woman, and when the woman brought forth, when the Israelite, which are the Native Indians, women, when they brought forth children, it says right here, concerning Matthew 13:26, there appeared the tares also. That's right, because when they brought forth their children had that Spaniard blood with them, okay?
So right here, these are the Native Indians, okay? The Native Indians. You have different types of Indians like the Incas, okay? You have the Aztecs, the Mayans, the Seminole Indians. You have the Gadites, you have the Taino Indians, so forth, different Indian tribes. I'm just letting you see before the European invasion occurred. Before the European invasion occurred, this is exactly how the Indians look. And the Indians, let's keep in mind, the Native Indians are the children of Israel, okay? The Native Indians are the children of Israel, all right? Okay, so, this was before the European invasion, before the so-called white man went out and sowed tares among the wheat, before the so-called white man went out and implanted his seed within the native woman. This is how basically the Indians look, okay, before the European invasion. Now I'm going to show you another image after the European invasion, after the so-called white man sowed tares among the wheat, after the so-called white man raped the native women. And he also raped the so-called black women. I'm going to show you this. Okay. Now, this is after the so-called white man implanted his seed within the natives. Okay. And I'm talking about the Spaniards, okay, when I say white man. Because we're talking about the Spaniards, the conquistadors. They are the ones that raped the natives. Okay, so after the Spaniards sowed tares among the wheat, which are the children of Israel, which are the Native Indians and blacks, after the so-called white man, which are the Spaniards, sowed his seed within the Native Indians when they came over here to conquer and steal their land. They raped the Native Indians, and the Native Indians came out looking more like this today. They created Latinos, basically, to say. This is after the European invasion, okay? Let's back up. Before, it was like this, before the European invasion. But after that European invasion, when the so-called white man, which are the Spaniards, raped the natives, they came out with that Spaniard blood within them. 50-50. Half Spaniard, half native. And this is how your Latinos were created. When the Spaniards raped the native women. Alright? So this is after the European invasion. Let's continue on.
And also, when the so-called white man raped the blacks, their children came out mixed breed. Okay.
Okay, now. Alright, let's back up. Now, let's not forget that this did not only happen to the natives, okay? It happened to the blacks, okay? The Negroes today, which are the Judites today. The so-called white man, the Edomites, put his seed also in the Negroes today, okay? The so-called Africans that they call us today, okay? The so-called Negro today, which are the real Jews. The white man also raped the Negroid woman. And when he raped the Negroid woman, he created mixed breed, which you see before you right here. His precious little girl right here. She has a mixture of European blood within her and Negroid blood within her, okay? And what this all goes back to, it goes back to St. Matthew 13:25 about basically how the enemy came and he sowed tares among the wheat. This is what we breaking down. This is what we focusing on. That enemy being the so-called white man that raped the native women, which are the Israelites, and that raped the black women, which are the Israelites as well. So you can see this precious little girl right here that has 50-50. Has a mixture of European blood within her and has a mixture of black blood within her. Okay, we're going to show you some more pictures. All right, this is the so-called white man sowing tares among the wheat. Okay, here go another picture of a 50-50, half Caucasian and half black. All right, this is how the kids came out to be after that European invasion. Okay, after the white man raped the native woman, after the white man raped the Spaniards, the white man raped the native woman, created Latinos, and the British, which are the whites, they raped the Negroes, and they created mixed breeds as mixed children, as you see before you. This is the white man sowing tares among the wheat. Okay. This is Drake right here, as you can see. That mixed blood within him.
Look at Matt 13:27. It says, "So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, did thou not sow good seed in thy field? From whence then it has tares?" Because he was asking. He said, "Did you not sow good seed in the field? If you sow good seed in the field, where in the hell these tares come from?" And these tares, basically, it's the seed of the so-called white man. All right, because the tares represents the children of wickedness. That's what the tares represent, the children of wickedness. So these tares are the so-called the white man, okay? The Edomites, the children of the wicked. That's the tares.
All right, so the tares basically represents the Spaniards and the Italians that came over here to conquer in the year 1492. All right, that killed native Indians, stole their lands from them. All right, that's why we's bringing it out according to the scriptures. Take notes. Remember, that's why it says basically, he said the enemy has done this. That's why when you go back up, it says, "So the servant of the householder came and said unto him, Did you not sow good seed?" Yeah, he sowed good seed, of course. But he said, "Well, if you sow good seed, where in the hell these tares come from?" The tares of the children of the wicked. Who are the children of the wicked? So-called white man, the Spaniards, the Italians, Portuguese, British, the Dutch, Germans, France, so forth. The Romans, the Greeks, all of those are Europeans. All those Europeans are Edomites, so-called white man, all right? So let's go back into the scriptures.
Okay, that the white man put his seed among the wheat, which he raped, and then put his seed in the so-called blacks and native women. He said unto them, an enemy has done this. And that enemy, who is that enemy? An enemy has done this. That's the so-called white man, okay? Believe it or not. The servant said unto him, wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, no, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Because now we have a confusion of faces. That goes back to Daniel, okay? Okay? That's why I was telling you about St. Matthew 13:29. But he said, no, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Okay? Because we have a confusion of faces in today's time, because it's hard to sometimes tell an Edomite from an Israelite, because they can look Caucasian or European, but yet instead they can be an Israelite.
And I'm going to give you a perfect example here. This is an Israelite, okay? But she looked Caucasian, all right? She looked like an Edomite, but in fact, she is an Israelite, okay? And that goes back to St. Matthew 13:29 when it says, but he said, no, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Because you cannot go around basically stereotyping, saying that all white people are children of the devil. Even though the Bible does classify white people as the devil, you can't stereotype and going into some type of assumption, assuming that all white people are Edomites, because like I showed you right here, you can be totally wrong thinking that certain white people are Edomites when in fact they are Israelites. Okay? Alright? That's what it means concerning St. Matthew 13:29. Lest while ye gather up the tares, the children of the wicked, you'll root up also the wheat within them. Because what happened? And so the enemy that done this, what did that enemy do? He sowed tares among the wheat. He sowed his seed among the Israelites. Okay? And sometimes it's hard to tell an Israelite from an Edomite. Okay? Because you have Edomites out there that look exactly like Israelites. And that's why I'm showing you this photo. Let's get some more photos to show you Edomites. Let's get some more photos to show you Israelites that look like Edomites. But in fact, they're Israelites. But they look like Edomites. Right here. You see that? She's an Israelite. Okay? She has black blood within her. But she looks like an Edomite. That's what the scripture's saying. Don't try to go out and pull up the tares from among the wheat. Okay? Because you have Edomites that are children of the devil. You have Israelites, which are the children of righteousness. But in spite of that, you have Israelites that look like Edomites when they have really black blood within them, as you see. Okay? Here goes some more images. This is an Israelite, but she looks like an Edomite. Okay? This is an Israelite, but he looks like an Edomite. Okay? Christina Aguilera. She has that black blood within her, but she looks like an Edomite. Same thing, same deal with Angelina Jolie. All right?
And that's where Daniel comes in about the confusion of faces. Let's get that.
Let's go to Daniel 9:7. It's going to tell you about the confusion of faces. All right? Take notes. Pay attention.
All right. I'm typing in confusion of faces. Let's just hope it'll pull that up. And it's concerning Matthew chapter 13. See right here,
Daniel 9:7.
in Daniel chapter 9:7, it says, O Most High, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us confusion of faces, as at this day to the men of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and to all Israel that are near and that are far off. See? Through all the countries, whither thou hast driven them because of their trespasses, that they have trespassed
against thee. So it says, O Most High, righteousness belongeth unto thee, but unto us confusion of faces. Why did he say unto us confusion of faces? Because what you just saw, according to Israelites that look like Edomites, is confusion. All right. Why is it confusion? Because the white man went out and what did he do? He sowed tares among the wheat. Okay, that's what he did. According to St. Matthew 13 and 25, he sowed his seed among blacks and native Indians. Okay, and it caused confusion of faces concerning Daniel 9 and 7. All right, because now we don't. Sometimes you can't tell an Israelite from an Edomite concerning the images that I just showed you. Okay, so let's keep it moving.
As against thee. So Daniel was saying basically, O Lord, the Most High, righteousness belongeth to thee, but unto us confusion of faces. Why did he say that concerning Daniel 9 and 7? The reason why he said that concerning Daniel 9 and 7 is because we do have confusion of faces, because the white man have went out with this European invasion and then planted his seed in every nation you can think of. Okay, he went out, planted his seed within the Asiatic people. He went out, he planted his seed among the Africans as well. He planted his seed among the Arabians. He planted his seed among the so-called Negroes. He planted his seed among the native Indians. He planted his seed among basically every nation you can think of. The white man went out with his European invasion and planted his seed. Okay, and this
Now, as far as the slave masters, they also made basically black women. Okay, they also made black women have sexual acts with white men. Okay, they also forced the black women and the native women to have sexual intercourse with white men. All right. Okay, they forced them to have sexual intercourse with white men. So it goes two ways. The white man raping the black woman. Okay, and then you also had the white man that forced the black woman to have sexual intercourse with European men. If they did not, they were killed. And you also had the so-called the slave masters, which is so-called white man. You had him making black Israelite man, natives, the native Indians also who were Israelites. You had the slave masters making the native men, the black men, sleep with European women. Okay? They were forcing black man, native man, to sleep with European women. And all this comes from confusion of faces, man. That's why we giving you Daniel 9 and 7. All right? So let's keep it moving.
goes back into St. Matthew 13 when it says, in 29 when it says, but he said, no, these while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. So basically you can't go around talking about, just because somebody may look like an Edomite, you can't go around basically saying they are the devil.
Con.
Because we know the white man, the so-called white man in the Bible is classified as the devil.
Exactly.
Okay, or the serpent. But you can't necessarily just assume and stereotype a certain Edomite that might be an Israelite. You see what I'm saying? You might go and say, oh, he's a devil, he's a white man, when his father can be an Israelite. You see what I'm saying? He can look white, but he can also be an Israelite.
Exactly. And like I said, concerning this fella right here, man, he looks white, he looks Caucasian, he looks like an Edomite, but in fact, he is an Israelite. Okay? Let's get back into it.
You got Edomites out there that are from the children of Esau, okay, and then you got Israelites out there that look like Edomites when they really from the nation of Israel. So that's why it says, don't do this, least while ye gather of the tares, ye'll root up also the wheat with them. Okay, it says, let both grow together. This is Matthew 13 and 30. Let both grow together unto the harvest. And in the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather ye together first the tares, the tares, the Edomites, the so-called white people, the children of the wicked. All right, the wicked seed of Cain, the reincarnated Esau. All right, gather ye together the first, the tares, and bind them into bundles. That means gather these so-called white people up, which are the Edomites, and bind them into bundles, the children of the wicked, and burn them and incinerate them.
Yes,
burn them.
exactly.
Yes, because the so-called white man would be incinerated in the end of time. And it says, but gather the wheat into my barn. These are the children of Israel. When it says, but gather the wheat into my barn, that means gather the children of Israel. That means gather the elect. That means gather those children of Israel into the to be entitled for the kingdom. Okay, but these tares right here, it says, and bind them in bundles and burn them. Okay, now you might not say, well, I don't believe that's the so-called white man. I don't believe that statement right here is concerning the so-called white man. I'm going to show you, because it says, first bind the tares, bind those wicked Edomites, so-called white people, the children of the devil, and bind them into bundles and burn them. Let me get you the precept of that. Let's go to Obadiah.
And that is
and I'm going to show you that the white man,
we going into
after his
Obadiah.
1,000 years of slavery, he would be incinerated and there would be no more.
So okay. After the so-called white man, after his 1,000 years of slavery, because they would go into slavery, concerning Revelation 9 and 10, they would go into slavery. But after them 1,000 years of slavery, after those 1,000 years of slavery, they would be bundled together, like the scriptures say, and they would be incinerated. Okay, and we gonna get you that. Okay, they will be incinerated. Okay.
Okay, we're going into Obadiah, and I'm going to show you concerning this when he said, gather the tares together to burn them. I'm going to show you this. All right?
Turn to the book of Obadiah, if you will, and look at verse 18. This is concerning the precept to Matt chapter 13, when it talks about how he would take the tares and bundle them.
18, it says, in the house of Jacob shall be a fire, in the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau, which is the so-called white man, the so-called white people, the Edomites, in the house of Esau for stubble, and they shall kindle in them and devour them.
Exactly.
Who shall do this? The house of Jacob and the house of Joseph, which are the children of Israel. It says, they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau, for the Most High have spoken it. So what would happen to the Edomites, which is Esau? What would happen? There would be stubble. Okay? And what would happen to them? They would get devoured. They would get devoured. Okay? They shall be kindled. They shall kindle in them and devour them. There shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau left.
And like I said, Obadiah, what you just saw, let's go back to that. Obadiah, basically what you just saw. Let's see, can we get it back real quick? That was just the precept to when it says Obadiah 1 and 18, it says that the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame. The house of Esau is Edom, which is the so-called white man. Esau's name was changed to Edom. Esau will be for stubble. They shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. For the Most High have spoken it, because after those 1,000 years, the Edomites would be incinerated. They would be burned, and there would be no more. All right, and that's just the precept. Obadiah 1 and 18 is the precept to St. Matthew 13 and 13 and 30. Obadiah 1 and 18 is the precept to St. Matthew 13 and 30, which talks about the tares, which are the children of the wicked one, that they would be bound in bundles and they would be burned. Okay, Obadiah 1 and 18 is the precept to that to show you. Okay, so let's continue on.
For the Most High has spoken it. Because after those 1,000 years of slavery, Esau will be incinerated.
Exactly. So right here, after those 1,000 years of slavery, this is Esau's fate. He will be incinerated.
There will be no more in existence. Alright, so I just wanted to give you that precept concerning Obadiah 1 and 18 that goes all the way back to St. Matthew chapter 13, and it goes all the way back to 13 and 30 when it says, gather ye together first the tares, and bind them into bundles and burn them. Okay. It says, let both grow together into the harvest. What is the harvest? The harvest is the end of the world. Okay. The harvest is the end of the world. There's the harvest.
Okay, so it says the harvest. That's the end of the world, y'all. So that's the end of the world, the harvest.
It says in it.
Okay, so the harvest is the end of the world.
At that time that the Most High would do the separation, when he would separate the tares, which are the Edomites, he would separate the Edomites from the wheat, which are the Israelites. He would burn them, okay? So basically that sums it up. But if you want to also, you can also read, you can skip over to the 37th verse out of St. Matthew 13, and you can read from down to the 37th verse. You can read on down from the 37th verse also in St. Matthew 13, and then I.U.I.C, which is the son of the Most High, he also explains it too. He also explains it as well. If you're kind of stuck in the middle, you can also read St. Matthew 13:37, and he explains this parable concerning the tares. All right. So I just wanted to kind of lay that out to let you see concerning Matthew chapter 13:24 concerning the tares. The tares are the children of the wicked, which is so-called white people, the Edomites. All right. They are the children of the wicked. Okay. They was created to be evil. They was created to be a punishment to the children of Israel when the Israelites get out of line. Okay, they was created from the beginning to be wicked. All right, so that's basically concerning that topic. All right, and that pretty much wrap things up. So yeah, and the reapers are the angels. Okay. The reapers are the angels, because right here it says, let both them go together into the harvest, into the time of the harvest. I would say to the reapers. Okay, the harvest is the end of the world. The reapers are the angels. It says, gather together the tares of the Edomites, the so-called white people, and bind them into bundles to burn. And then it said, the wheat is the Israelites. So that's concerning the tares. And like I said, this is once again Brother Brendan Judah Duffy, representing Solid Foundation International Ministries, and I hope you was edified, and I will be bringing you more lessons to edify the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Until next time, shalom, shalom, shalom.